1 billion and claim that is the deficit of government. Speaker, let me use this opportunity to provide some indication. Every expenditure framework under any economic circumstance, we prepare short to medium-term expenditure frameworks. So the 302.5 billion does not only indicate expenditure for the year 2026, it includes multi-year commitments in the budget. Speaker, the best measure of fiscal consolidation is the primary balance on commitment basis. This is because the primary balance on commitment basis isolates the independent variable called the interest payments. That is what the government doesn't have control over. Dr. Atuforsen has achieved 1.6% primary deficit on commitment basis. This means that government is spending within our means, and that is what we didn't see under the 8-year rule of Nana Akufo-Addo. Yeah. Speaker, the budget aligns with Ghana's commitment under the IMF program, balancing stabilization with productive investment. That is the goal of this budget. Speaker, let me now go to the macroeconomic stability and other micro factors. Speaker, the 2026 budget builds on macro stabilization gains made in 2025, strengthening fiscal discipline, restrain borrowing, and improve debt dynamics. Speaker, as a result of our prudent management of the Ghanaian economy, where you saw that local treasury bill issues have gone down from 28.9% to about 10.7%. This has made domestic interest debt servicing to decline. For instance, if you look at the interest payment projections, they are more manageable and within means. And the Finance Ministry has projected interest payment at 57.7%. Speaker, if you look at our inflation, people want us to believe that today we should not celebrate inflation of 8%. What it does is that it guarantees confidence in the Ghanaian economy. 2, it allows for people to make proper planning. And 3, it does not erode the savings of the ordinary Ghanaian. Yeah. That is a micro factor that I want my brothers to know. Yeah. Speaker, in 2026, the Finance Ministry projects inflation to still be within the 6 to 10% inflation band. Mr. Speaker, let me now come to the growth projections. In March, when I was contributing to the debate, I made it clear that it is not the absolute growth that we are worried about. It's the source of the growth or the drivers of growth. This current growth of 4.8% that is expected at the end of the year is largely driven by manufacturing, industry, and agriculture. Yay. Speaker, the budget prioritizes productivity, investment in agriculture, especially the value chain, infrastructure, the roads, the big push projects, energy, local enterprises. Reforms in the tax systems are intended to make business and environment more competitive, reducing compliance burden for small, medium-scale, and incentivize industrialization. Speaker, it is important for me to now turn my attention to the external sector performance. As a result of the exchange rate stability, and please, I heard the last time Honorable Kabiru make the assertion that the NDC cannot point to one single thing that led to the debt reduction. You don't need to point to anything. When in doubt, observe the exchange rate. The famous quote by His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. As a result of the management of the exchange rate, the public debt component, that is external and dollar rated, when the cedi is stabilized and reduced, it means that the foreign component will naturally fall. And that is what accounts for moving the debt from 726 billion to about 630 billion. And let me make this statement, Mr. Speaker. President Akufo-Addo, since 1950s up to date, before President Akufo-Addo, we have had 13 presidents. 13 presidents. They borrowed a total amount of 122 billion Ghana cedis. President Akufo-Addo moving from 122 billion to about 726 billion. Hey. 6 times more than all the presidents combined, Mr. Speaker. Hey. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the credit ratings, Fitch upgraded Ghana long-term foreign currency issuer default rating from restricted default to B- with a stable outlook, citing progress of external debt restructuring, macroeconomic stability, and credit policy risks. S&P also upgraded Ghana ratings to B- with a stable outlook, pointing to improved external balances and stronger policy credibility. Mr. Speaker, I have this to say from a Bloomberg website. the importance of good credit ratings. This is what Bloomberg has to say. These upgrades are not symbolic. They reflect real improvements in Ghana's external liquidity, its capacity to save debt, and investor confidence. That is the impact of this thing is making on us. Mr. Speaker, Ghana has successfully restructured about 13.1 billion euro bond debt that they bequeathed to us under the MPP regime. Mr. Speaker, it is important for me to touch basically with infrastructure. The Roads Minister is here. I am proud to be associated with the NDC government that is committed to spending 30 billion Ghana cedis in the Big Push program. And this will be the largest single-year investment in fiscal infrastructure in recent history. Mr. Speaker, this is not the usual 11,000 kilometers of roads President Akufo-Addo mentioned here. This infrastructure investment we are seeing is linked directly to productive sectors. These roads will support agriculture enclave development, regional integration, and trade routes. Mr. Speaker, the agriculture sector, which is the major driver of employment and food security in our country, is expected to be transformed, and the pillar is indicated in the budget, where we allocate 245 million Ghana cedis to food security and agro-industrial programs. Speaker, about 828 million Ghana cedis for industrial enclave roads, about 1,000 kilometers of roads is expected to improve agriculture. Speaker, 690 million Ghana cedis to operationalize the farm service centers, which we are proud to initiate and start next year by commissioning the first 50 phase of the farm mechanization centers. Mr. Speaker, 6.9 billion Ghana cedis, and this is where my interest is. MPP left this country with a total unemployment of 14.7%. Currently, if you look at the quarterly outdate from GSS, it is expected that about 5% reduction in poverty. That is the incidence of poverty these programs are doing for our nation. Mr. Speaker, this budget doesn't seek to consolidate on only business and investment destinations. We are also mindful of the vulnerable. Mr. Speaker, let me take your attention to social investments and safety nets as contained in the budget. When you look at the livelihood empowerment against poverty, a whopping 1.1 billion Ghana cedis has been allocated to deal with the vulnerable. The Women's Development Bank, about 401 million, apprenticeship and the rest. Finally, I can see my time is running up. What I will say is that the out-10 is out now finally. In the beginning of the year, you say we are just doing projections. Now the out-10 is out. Indicators pound by pound, 2024, 2025. GDP growth for 2025 was 5.2%. That was the first 2 quarters. Currently, we are doing 6.3%. Inflation any year was 23.8%, currently at 8%. Debt to GDP ratio of 68.1%, currently 45%. Fiscal deficit of above 3% of GDP, currently 2.8%. Non-oil growth rate, that is 7.8% at a time, and currently we are growing and growing and growing better. I will end my statement, Mr. Speaker, by quoting from a famous playwright, which is, if you watch Game of Thrones before, they will say that Grandmaster Pesa will say that the small council grows smaller and smaller. By your